Well, greetings, friends, students of Christian faith and the natural sciences. I apologize somewhat for my unkempt appearance. This is pre-shower on Friday morning and just trying to get some early morning work done. I want to talk a little bit further about Karen Strand Winslow's essay, "The Earth is Not a Planet." Some of your quiz replies, a good number of them, I won't say everybody, but a good number of them suggest that maybe you had not read the essay, or certainly might have misunderstood it a little bit. But that's why we have these videos, right? So first of all, remember that this is an essay. It happens to be the first essay. I guess you could call it a chapter, but the first essay of this book of collected essays. So the author of this is a woman, Karen Strand Winslow. The editor of the entire book is a scholar by the name of Thomas J. Ord, happens to be my cousin. Our mothers are sisters. His mother is still alive. His mother, my Aunt Louise. But Tom is a very active scholar, and he's the editor of this collection of essays under the title of the book, Creation Made Free. So, just so that you kind of get all that in mind, and I think on your copy of it from Canvas, you saw that this book came out in 2009. And Karen Strand Winslow's essay is really an important one. I mentioned in class how it really has impacted me. Probably the most simple observation that she makes is that Genesis 1, while we understandably read God created the heavens and the earth, we understandably think of the earth that we know of, planet Earth. And of course, I have to be really careful here. Obviously, it's not like the writer or writers, Genesis 1, while traditionally attributed to Moses, I'm going to suggest to you is a much more recent document, even if there's a story of creation that predates this document. It might even go back all the way to Moses. I don't know. But the big point here would be that they're talking about the world that we live in, right? It's not some other world, but it's just not, for them it wasn't a planet because they didn't understand planets. They didn't have the concept of a planet. They certainly didn't think of planet Earth revolving around a star with other planets, within a galaxy. Nothing like that. So we've talked about the way that they understood the world a bit in class on Wednesday. Now, I want to make sure that we get sort of and some of you did, I know from your quiz replies. The big implication of this is once we accept or recognize that there is a different cosmology, which basically means just view of the world, a different cosmology at work in Genesis 1, different from the one that we 21st century human beings, for the most part, understand, the way that we view the world and the universe, so radically different. As I did say on Wednesday, it's certainly the case that the ancient Israelites and other people of that time, especially, the people that lived around the Mediterranean, those are the ones we're talking about, did have very similar cosmologies to one another, and they were based in common everyday observation of the world. As I said, I can look out my window of my home office here and I see that beautiful blue sky. Unfortunately, from here I can't see the ocean like I did in our previous home, whereas we can even at Point Loma, even in our room, through one of the side windows. I guess I'm the one that really can see it most easily. But that whole idea of a blue sky above us that stretches out to water suggested to all the peoples around the Mediterranean Sea that they lived on obviously dry land, but that dry land comes to an end, and at that end is all this water, and then all you could see way out there is, a lot of water that seems finally to end on that horizon point where the sea meets the firmament. We would say the sky, I guess. Their word was rakia, as I mentioned to you. That's the Hebrew word that means a thin layer, kind of maybe even pounded out thin, of something like metal would be but obviously not metal. But they saw it as this covering. Again, the term in Genesis 1 is firmament. Maybe, even there, our word firm in English might be related to firmament. I'm not sure, but that like how it's this firm ceiling above us. And they could see up there and see blue up there, and so assumed that it was the same stuff as was out there in the water, and that assumption was reinforced by rain falling down from time to time. And so creation was an act of God, as we said, separating waters from the waters and so on. So we talked about this on Wednesday. See, Winslow's big point here then is the moment we start thinking about our planet as this roughly spherical orb, doing this, or, around a star that we call the sun, we have a very different, we have to be careful about simply imposing our ideas, as correct as they might be. And I mean, I think they are relatively correct. I have no reason to doubt any of that, our ideas about the solar system. There's plenty more to learn for sure. But rest assured, it's a different view of reality or of the universe or of the world, whichever word you want to use, than what we find in Genesis 1. We then just have to decide, well, okay, are we of such a mind as to say, I don't really care what people think the universe is like or the solar system. I believe the Bible. I believe that Genesis 1 is the correct portrayal of physical reality. I don't think any of us will, and I certainly don't think any of us should, take that approach, as though the Bible is offering that kind of, we'll call it accurate information regarding the physical makeup or structure of the universe. And therefore, there's probably a lot of questions we might have that are not the kind of questions we should feel the need to bring to the Bible. Dinosaurs. Where do the dinosaurs fit in? Well, they don't fit in anywhere in terms of, like, in the text. They're not in Genesis 1. They're just not. Now, does that mean that God didn't create dinosaurs? Of course it doesn't mean that. I'm of the strong opinion, conviction, that God is the creator of all things, and that the creation of all things has taken place over, just in our universe. I can't speak about other universes because I don't have any access to them. But our universe of roughly 14 billion years in age, life on our planet, I'm not sure when our planet itself is probably 4 to 5 billion years old. I believe. I trust the science. I really do. It doesn't mean that science is right about everything, but, in general, we can say there's a lot of indications for these assumptions. So dinosaurs are in there. Yeah, my goodness, for millions of years, well before human beings. And I do say well before human beings. So if we go like, well, wait a minute, if we immediately go back to Genesis 1 and go, well, and I would immediately again say, if you're reading Genesis 1 for information about the far-reaching history of planet Earth and the long and sometimes very painful but also glorious evolution of life on our planet, that's just not what Genesis 1 is about. The writer or writers and editors of Genesis 1 had no idea about these things. No idea. Now, the logical question, and I'll finish this up in a second here. Maybe I'll go to 12 minutes. I got another minute or so. The logical follow-up might be, well, did God know? And the right answer would be, of course. Of course. If we believe that God is the creator and sustainer of all things, as I do, then this God, who only very recently in planetary history has called the people of Israel to be God's representative people, and out of that people was born Jesus, the Messiah, through whom God has reached out to all the peoples of the world, including us and us Gentile people. This is all very recent. I mean, remarkably recent, right? And the point would be, God, of course, has been with and loving all of creation all along. So God knows about dinosaurs. I believe God loved all the dinosaurs. Maybe God loves the dinosaurs. I don't know how all that works. But even T-Rex and, the big scary ones were creatures of God, beloved of God, and they don't make an appearance in the Bible because human beings didn't know about them. Couldn't God have told human beings about them? Well, then we're going to be assuming that God is interested in imparting scientific knowledge to human beings, when in fact God has gloriously created us with brains capable of observation of the world, much of it aided with all kinds of instruments, including telescopes, microscopes, etc., mathematics, so that we can discover these things. But it would be wrong, I think, I really think this, to expect the Bible to be our instructor in such matters as the ancient history and scientific, processes involved in the creation of the universe and of our planet. I'll stop there.